Well, as if things haven't been bad enough for fans of the Warhammer 40K universe over the last few months, now we're hearing rumors that the Amazon Warhammer 40K show led by Henry Cavill might get shelved indefinitely. Let's get into it. Well, hey everybody, welcome back, glad to have you here. Now, in case you're not familiar with this topic, Warhammer 40K, which is a tabletop game that's been around for decades, has a very large and very, I'm not going to say rabid because I don't hate the fans, very loyal and faithful fan base. And of course, it has lore books and rule books that kind of help guide your adventures and your games that you play with your friends. And the key feature of this entire franchise is that you can purchase the models and paint them yourselves. And it's something that people do in their own leisure. And of course, these models are incredibly expensive. People that are dedicated to this franchise have spent upwards of tens of thousands of dollars just to make their armies. And of course, it's not for everybody. If you can't afford to get into it, obviously you can play the games, you can read the books. And unfortunately for a lot of the fans, they did this thing, Games Workshop did, who is the company that makes the game, where they decided to retcon and gaslight the fans over this female character, which has always been a group of men. But of course, they decided to virtue signal and say, oh no, they've always been women, you're just bigots if you think otherwise. So of course, websites like Reset Era have come out saying the Chuds are angry after Warhammer 40K confirms existence of female Adeptus Custodes. You see articles even as recent as, well, this one's been updated, but it's from a month ago, saying Warhammer 40,000 players are up in arms over the, quote, woke controversy of women existing. And again, gaslighting. The entire concept is that if you don't want them to change and retcon and gaslight you over something, it's because you hate women. And unfortunately, this is something that it's been really pushed the last 10, 12 years, where, you know, just like the Ghostbusters 2016 film that was a god-awful, wretched flop, people blamed angry, male, sexist, misogynist men for the fact that the movie itself was a train wreck. They can't accept the fact that just because it was full of women, it's not bad because it's full of women, it's the intent to make it female-led, whether or not it's going to be good. And of course, we've even seen rumors that Henry Cavill wasn't happy with his decision and that Amazon themselves, because they are making this show, wanted the female Space Marine characters, they wanted the female Adeptus Custodes, because it opened up the window for them to start inserting this into the show. Now, this is a bit surprising to hear because of the fact that Henry Cavill is such a... He's, you know, people believe he's one of us. He's a gamer, he's a nerd, he loves Warhammer, he loves his tabletop games, and he loves lore. This is what notably got him fired from The Witcher, is the fact that he didn't like the fact that they were bending the lore, not honoring the original story. It's unfortunately one of those things where we've seen this with like Beau DeMaio, who was the showrunner for X-Men 97, who got fired under dubious circumstances, but he himself was another one of these that didn't like his interactions with the showrunners on The Witcher and said, yeah, I'm not going to let anybody work on X-Men 97 who's not a fan of the lore. So this is very likely that there was some controversy behind the scenes. Whether or not this has actually come to fruition, where Amazon was the one that will take the credit for this or the blame for it, we may never know. We're honestly probably never going to know the answer to this. But Games Workshop the last few months has continued to attack their fans, get these little jabs in there, trying their best to push out their existing fan base and replace them with the modern audience. Things like this where they put a little blog post out there basically calling people breathtakingly outdated with their views on inclusivity. And of course, this is just a little jab at the fans who are still around, who are still giving them their money for whatever reason. I mean, guys, let's be honest. If there's a company who expressly says they hate you and they think that the product they're selling represents a fan base that has outdated views on inclusivity, maybe it's time to stop spending your money there. I'm sorry. I know it. There are so many of us who are addicted or hooked onto a franchise or a series of games or a product, and you go, I can't imagine giving this up. But at some point, when the company behind that product tells you, we think you're scum, we think you're worthless, we don't want you around, we want to replace you, at some point you have to say, fine, my wallet is closed until you come back to your senses. And then, of course, if a company comes back and says, look, we made a mistake, we screwed up, we have new ownership, we have new management, whatever, we're going to try to earn back your trust, you can then cautiously be optimistic and say, maybe we're going to get, back to some sense of normalcy, to some sort of centricism where nothing has to be so politically extreme that you have to chase off more than half your customer base. Well, Unfortunately, I don't think Warhammer is going to be that franchise anytime soon that comes back to their senses. And now it seems to be affecting Amazon's show. And this latest rumor that's on this That Park Place article says that Henry Cavill's Warhammer 40K show at Amazon might be shelved. And I believe this would be indefinitely. So going through the article here, it says a new rumor claims that Amazon MGM Studios and Games Workshop's Warhammer 40K live-action project from Henry Cavill might be shelved. The new rumor comes from YouTuber Arch of the Archcast channel. Now, Archcast, he's famously he's a Warhammer YouTuber, and he has all the books and the lore, and he can tell you kind of like how a Lord of the Rings nerd, which I definitely find myself more on that side of things. I'm not so big into Warhammer. I know a lot more about Lord of the Rings. He would be like the equivalent of like a Tolkien scholar, okay? So Archcast explains, right now the agreement in principle between Games Workshop and Amazon appears to be in effect. This means that the team at Amazon, a team of writers, is right now trying to write out a story that is going to be turned into the Warhammer 40K television show. They have, I believe, a few more months on this deadline for this project, and they have to hand it in, and then it either has to be greenlit, or they have to have their writing date further postponed in the hope that they can produce something better further down the line, or the entire project will be shelved. He adds those are the three opportunities. Either they'll have a project they'll go ahead with, they'll shelve the whole thing, or they will extend the deadline to try and get a decent product going. In other words, nothing is finalized yet. Absolutely nothing, which that's crazy to hear. Because I do believe that this show was announced while Henry Cavill was still working on Season 3 of The Witcher, which was being filmed, I want to say, 2 years ago. So it's absolutely bonkers that they don't have anything finalized yet. He went on to say there isn't even any money for the project allocated as far as my insider can tell on Amazon's behalf. No writing staff has truly been hired, no money has been allocated, no plans have been made. Games Workshop shared in a blog post in the middle of December 2023 that the company had come to terms with Prime Video and Amazon MGM Studios to have an adaptation of the show made and brought to both big and small screens. The company shared back in December last year, we announced Games Workshop and Amazon Studios had signed an agreement in principle to work together to bring the Warhammer 40K universe to screens big and small. Well, today we have an update, and it's one we've all been longing to hear. We now signed the full agreement, and the next stage can begin. And I do believe this show wasn't even slated to be ready to go up on Amazon streaming service until about 2025, I want to say. But at this point now, if they don't even have a deal inked out, if they don't have a showrunner, if they don't have a script, this show is never getting done. The company also shared, all we can tell you right now is that an elite band of screenwriters, each with their own particular passion for Warhammer, is being assembled to help bring the setting and characters you love to screen. This illustrious group will be championed by Henry Cavill, who stands ready to take his place as executive producer, bringing his pen, sword, and or spear to the project. As for when the first project might arrive, Games Workshop detailed TV and film production is a mammoth undertaking. Yeah, they went on to say basically, we'll let you know when we have something to tell you. Henry Cavill announced he was helming the Warhammer Cinematic Universe shortly after he announced he would not be returning to play Superman in James Gunn's Superman Legacy. That's right, because the whole Superman thing with The Witcher, it all happened within, I want to say, a 6-month span. This poor guy just keeps getting, one hit after the other. The hits just keep on coming. He shared to Instagram in December 2022, for 30 years I have dreamt of seeing a Warhammer universe in live action. Now, after 22 years of experience in this industry, I finally feel that I have the skill set and experience to guide a Warhammer cinematic universe. And so, of course, he went on to announce that he was going to make the Warhammer show. Since then, he's provided brief updates on the projects. In February, while promoting Argyle, he told the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, "It is the greatest privilege of my professional career to have this opportunity. I can't say too much again. It's still early." And again, this is the thing. It's it seems like there's absolutely no progress that's being made. And now with these rumors coming out that the show itself could end up being shelved due to the fact that there's no activity, the lack of a script, the lack of screenwriters, the lack of any sort of casting or anything else going on, this is a very bad sign. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if a big part of this had to do with the pushback from the Warhammer fans, creating a little bit more uncertainty with the direction they were planning on taking the show. What if they were trying to coax Henry Cavill into taking it to more of a female-led perspective, we'll say, with the whole idea of the female Adeptus Custodi, or maybe finally getting their idea of having female Space Marines. There was pushback from the fans. He was about ready to walk. He's like, I'm not having it. And now everything's up in the air. I mean, this could be more going on behind the scenes than we actually know at this point, but I'd be curious to find out what you guys think, in the comments down below. So let me know what you think about all this. Also, make sure you check out minimaleffort.shop. I've got some items listed for sale in here, some of my original designs, some of the podcast merchandise, as well as articles, little bite-sized things I'm trying to get up here a few, once every couple days. And all of my videos are going on here as well, just for ease of being able to find all of them from both channels. Let me know what you guys think about all this down below, and I will catch you later. Alright, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for being here. I do have 2 channels, Minimal Effort Podcast, as well as my gaming channel. I do have a Twitch and Kick for my gaming channel. We do live streams over there occasionally, maybe once a week. And then if you are in the market for a new PC, make sure to check out Meta PCs. Click the link I have down below. Use code TBO at checkout for a special discount. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.